Yeah, health reform passes. Now what? Now what? That is the million-dollar question. In my opinion, anybody who claims they know the answer is disillusioned. I mean, of course, some of the most direct things that's directly stated in the bill or whatever, but as far as trying to predict how the whole thing plays out, man, it's ridiculous. First of all, some of the numbers that's thrown out by the government are probably fudged, So that's one problem. That's one reason why you can't really give an accurate prediction on how it's going to play out throughout the system. And the other reason is just the nature. It's too complex. It's a comprehensive plan, which you need it to be comprehensive. But the reality is, you're going to have to face the fact that you don't truly know how it's going to play out, and you can't understand all the unintended consequences. So when you say now what, in my opinion, one of the responses to that is that I don't see how all of the provisions can be implemented without us having to spend some kind of money somewhere. Now, I know we don't supposed to get taxed. And again, you're talking about government where just like all the numbers may not necessarily be 100% true and accurate. There's probably some fudging going on. And then the same thing is going to happen when you're talking about us having to fund different parts of this bill. We might not be taxed in the traditional sense of the word, but there may be taxes here and taxes on that and taxes on this. In fact, I heard you talking about sodas, cigarettes, and stuff like that, which you should know that I have no problem with that. And actually, I think it makes very good sense to tax those things for the simple fact that a lot of those things are some of the things that contribute to the problem. But now, here's the thing. What are you going to do with the money? One of the problems that we have that could put us in a much better situation if we got control of it is doing what we are supposed to do with the money. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're going to tax those things, then and then throw the money away or spend it on something stupid, then it's counterproductive. Because in my opinion, we're going to end up the working class, the middle class, in my opinion, is going to end up spending more money out of their pocket. You see what I'm saying? So if you also feel this way, and I think that's probably the argument, or at least the feeling behind a lot of, especially Republicans, but a lot of people who don't like healthcare reform, and then you should also realize that it's in your best interest, and the best impact, positive impact you can have as a response to this legislation passing is to do what you can as an individual to make yourself as healthy as possible. Oh, y'all don't hear me now. Went back to the personal responsibility. Well, what you gonna do? The legislation is passed. Like I said, I feel like we're gonna end up spending more money. One of the best things that you can do, and not have to argue with somebody else about it, is to make yourself as healthy as possible, so that you rely the least amount as possible on the healthcare system and on insurance. And you see, now that's the personal responsibility part. Now, government also has to do their part in trying to, if people won't take personal responsibility, manipulate people into being responsible and doing things that will lead to better health. Because if you don't, and you think already that the expense on the middle class is going to be higher, then if people don't take personal responsibility so that they are healthier, and therefore insurance is continuously paying out a whole bunch of money, then you're just going to see the expenses go up and up and up. So now, you see, even though if you may feel that that's the government babysitting and being a parent to grown children, which it is, that don't mean it's necessarily wrong after a certain point. And since healthcare has been passed, then I don't see how you're going to argue about something being done to try to get people to be more healthy. Now, the next level, beyond that, I heard them say something about early childhood development being cut. Now, just like, tied into people taking personal responsibility to be as healthy as possible, and government trying to get people to be responsible so that they're more healthy, you're going to have to take those that are in poverty, who is the one who will be benefiting the most, I suppose, from this legislation. I may or may not be wrong, but in any case, if they're going to get health care that the working people are paying for. I mean, this should have been done the whole time. But now, the people that used to turn their heads and say it's not my fault, it's not my problem, they're dealing with the consequences of their actions that led them to poverty, which is not always the case. But I feel you there. But the point is that now you no longer can turn your head and say it's not your problem, which you couldn't before. And I told you that in another video that everything is connected and we are impacted by what we do or don't do at some point. But now it's more direct, because if you ignore, and if government ignores people who are impoverished, and I know that a lot of this addresses them, but I'm not talking about addressing them superficially. I'm not talking about giving them handouts. I'm talking about if you don't provide a way for them to get training so that they understand the importance of proper nutrition and getting exercise and, you know, and doing things to improve their health. And I know you say that that's out there, they know this is common sense, it's enough in. Well, there's a difference in you hearing reports across the news here and there and you having a person placed in a class where they are dealing with the reality of this stuff, you know, in a more personal manner. That's when it begins to hit home. That's when you have a higher potential for actually changing the person's way of thinking and actually taking action to doing things that put them in a better position in regards to their health, you know. So forget about the information is there and they should know and blah, blah, blah. That ain't it. Do you want progress? Do you want things to go in a better direction? Or to continue to deteriorate? You know what I mean? So that's the reality of the situation. You cannot. You see, parenting, there's got to be a system in place to provide skills in parenting, provide training in parenting skills, training in life skills, and training so that people who are in poverty can become candidates for employment, so that they don't remain just drawn out of the system. Now, part of the problem with this is having enough people in government that actually wants them to be elevated above poverty, you know, so that they are self-reliant. I don't know. I would hope that every single person would want this, but when you really look at things, then it's hard to comprehend how intelligent, educated people not understand the necessity to have this type of program in the communities where poverty exists. You know, there should be, anytime you provide a handout, then it should be with the conditions that you enroll in a program that's going to enable you to better position yourself. In other words, back to the old school saying of teaching a man to fish. You know, and sometimes you got to give the man the rod and reel too. You got to give him the food to get him strong. You got to give him the tools that he can work with, and then you got to teach the man to fish. You see what I'm saying? So if we don't, now it's been said that you can't do any one part of the plan and be successful, and I agree with that. But you can't take on, you just can't take on something huge and then say, well, we are dealing with everything. No, you're going to have to dissect you're going to have to dissect, you know, that movement and make sure you're addressing the important parts of it so that you get the desired effect. You know, you cannot leave out stuff as important as training. Otherwise, you're not dealing with the whole plan. You're not dealing with the big picture. You're leaving off a very important element. And you also need to be dealing with rehabilitation of those from drugs and addiction. You also need to be dealing with rehabilitation in and coming from prison. All of these people are going to be people who are dependent upon the system if you don't provide these services. You cannot cut funding to services that elevates the person's mind so that they're able to make better choices. If you do that, then that's counterproductive to all of this mess that's being done, talking about everybody's enrolled in healthcare. You understand what I'm saying? Boy, yeah, I'm done, man. I'm done. Because my blood pressure's going up. I can't breathe. I'm choking on my spit. I'm getting excited. I'm gonna be standing outside the door in a minute, holding the steering wheel through the window. Okay. Oh, done. I got to go.